Yeah, let's go, chumps. I'm Teekosey, and this is with just 15 defeats. I'm Teekosey, and welcome to another round of With Just 15 Defeats. In today's show, we're going to be discussing Haye Day 2 as an event. So if you've got any comments about this event, go down to the bottom and leave me some comments. I'll get back to you. We'll have a debate and a discussion about Haye Day 2. So Haye Day 2 follows on from Haye Day 1, which was live on Dave as well, and included basically one matchup between David Haye and Mark D'Amore, which was very short fight, complete mismatch, and it was a pathetic stoppage. We move on to Haye Day 2. Now, Haye Day 2, David Haye in the main event versus Arnold Gjergjaj. They engineered Shannan Briggs onto the undercard. Now, I just want to speak about the event Haye Day 2. It was live at the O2, and it was screened in the UK on free-to-air channel called Dave. Dave's not known for sport, really. It just shows old repeats of comedy and that sort of stuff. So they don't have a massive amount of experience, but they've obviously put on the previous event. They've got the second event, but I don't think they did a particularly good job. I don't really want to criticise them too much because I really appreciate the fact that we're getting some boxing out there on free to air. We don't have to go pay-per-view. We don't have to have pay-per-view channels. All that stuff. The general public are getting to see some boxing if they know it's on, right? So I don't want to criticise them too much, but they had so many audio issues. It was a joke. It ruined a lot of it, even though a lot of it was rubbish anyway. But the audio was really poor. They really struggled to fix what the issue was. Fortunately, they managed to resolve it. They also had a strange presenting team, very strange presenting team. Now they had a guy called Matt Smith who was like the main presenter, the anchor, whatever you want to call him, and he used to present football, British football, on ITV, and he used to do a terrible job on that. Real lack of personality and character, and I thought we'd got away from him from British sports on TV, and he's somehow managed to pick this job up. A bit surprised, kind of really lacked a lot of knowledge, and there was some undercard fight. The guy was like 3-0, and he dispatched some fat Croatian or something, relative ease, and he's asking his co-presenter whether this guy who's now 4-0 is now going to be looking at a Tony Bellew fight. Now, fuck me, ridiculous, right? So you've got that. The other thing that really annoyed me was that there was they had like two, we'll say like ringside interviewers, and there was one girl. There was a blonde girl and there's a brunette, and the brunette, she interviewed Amir Khan, right? She interviewed Amir Khan, and the way she spoke to Amir, I thought was appalling. I mean, like, yeah, we know Amir Khan got sparked out completely, devastating KO, but the way that she kind of addressed that, she used like, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember now, but it was something like, she described the fight as an annihilation, something along those lines, and I just thought, you're standing next to him, you're interviewing him, and I know he's lost, but you've kind of insulted him. Like, you could have just said, your disappointing defeat or whatever, but you said, the way you kind of phrased it, look, whatever, but that's what I thought was really poor. The whole way through the presentation, they were constantly talking about the celebs that were there. But from what I could see, they basically said Jose Mourinho, football manager, and I think they obviously spoke to Amir Khan, and that was about it. But they kept on talking about the celebrities out and false and all this nonsense, but they didn't really show any, which was a bit weird. They just kept on showing a couple of like semi-attractive girls in the audience. They kept on flicking to these few girls that were obviously partying or whatever, and that was about it. We also kind of had a blend of boxing and music, which I think is something that can work. I don't think it quite worked in this occasion. We had some guy, I can't remember what his name is, and there was some song that was like Wobble or something. It was one of the worst songs ever. And I'm not going to be one of these people that's going to be bashing rap. I don't mind it. But this was dire. I mean, terrible. Awful, awful, awful. And you kind of think about the presentation as a show. It's a boxing show. The regular boxing fans, do they want to watch that sort of stuff? I would say probably not. As a TV spectacle, didn't work at all. It really didn't work at all. It was so dead, and you could tell. Like we even went into the presenters; they were almost a bit embarrassed about it. I know David Haye was saying in the post-fight press conference that he thought it was great. There was a blend of music and whatever. It was bringing a different atmosphere. All I can suggest is that possibly the vast majority of people that actually went to see it live weren't real boxing nuts, if you know what I mean. They're hardcore fans. So this is the difficult situation you have to balance, that David Haye is bringing more people into boxing. Because he's a popular guy, he's a celebrity, people are going to go and see his fights, and we're bringing more people into boxing, and then they're going to get excited because he's knocking people out really quickly, right? So it is a blend, and as a TV spectacle, we also had a number of undercard fights which were terrible. Really, the undercard fights were terrible. As I already previously spoke about, there was a guy that was 3-0 fighting a guy that was out of shape and smaller than him in every shape and form, and he managed to dispatch him relatively easy. And that was like the first fight that was shown. And then we saw another one that wasn't much better before we moved on to the co-main event. And we'll just talk about these two matchups. Obviously, the first one was the Shannan Briggs fight against Emilio Ezekiel Zarate. And the one thing I want to say about this is that I've spoken a lot about this whole event because I recorded 4 videos for the event because Shannan Briggs' opponent got changed multiple times. Now, originally it was meant to be fighting Dimitrenko, and my prediction was that Dimitrenko would beat Briggs. The fight never happened. I still don't quite know. I still haven't come to the bottom of why the fight never happened, why Dimitrenko was pulled from the card, or whether he pulled out. I don't quite know. It's a shame. I had a poll on that video, and it had a 100% vote rate that Dimitrenko would beat Briggs. 100% vote rate that Dimitrenko would beat Briggs. He then got changed to some other guy, some Croatian guy, and that was what it was. And then we moved it into this fight, Emilio Ezekiel Zarate. Now, by all accounts, he arrived in the UK from Argentina on the day of the fight. On the day of the... See, he went on a long-haul flight hours before he was going to have a professional boxing match. Like, yeah, fair enough, he probably got a few quid, but you're just accepting that you're going to get knocked out. Like, I know it was a mismatch anyway, but you got to think about your health, mate. There's short notice, and then there's short notice when you're on the other side of the world. I just found it incredible that they couldn't find someone in the UK that could have just got in the ring just to give him 60 to 90 seconds. Like, they could have got a Brit like Tom Dallas or someone like that, or Matt Skelton, or one of these old chaps that we could have just Michael Sprott, the old favourite, with just 15 defeats favourite. We could have thrown any of these guys in just to give Briggs 60 seconds and to get a nice little KO. I thought it was weird that they would bust someone in from the other side of the world. Found it very strange, particularly when it was just a journeyman opponent. Very, very strange. But Shannan Briggs, he stops his opponent, and really it could have been over in literally 15 seconds. Nice little combo early on. Hit him flush on the chin with a left, and as soon as I thought this could be over, and then as soon as the guy kind of weakened from that, he started landing devastating body shots. I mean, they were hurtful body shots, and you kind of think this guy he's probably got back on the plane to Argentina. He thought, shit, like I took some real bad ones here. Hopefully, I haven't got any serious damage. So, but for Shannan Briggs, he looked what from the opening bell, he looked fluid. His hands were free and swinging and fast, but I wasn't overly impressed with him. After his opening gambit, he kind of slowed down almost immediately. He kind of looked like he was out of breath, but I don't know whether he was within like 30 or 40 seconds. So it was a strange one. We know he looks in fantastic shape. Even if he looks like an old man in shape. Like, we see these memes online that crop up on Facebook and whatever, and be some old geezer with grey hair and fantastic shape, and there'll be some comment kind of saying something about him being a granddad and whatever, blah blah blah. And I get that kind of, that's the look I get from Briggs. He looks in fantastic shape, but he looks like an old man in shape. And I think if he fights David Haye, he hasn't got a chance. It's as simple as that. But anyway, that's that fight. We move on to the main event, if you want to call it that, and that's Haye against Arnold Gjergjaj. Now, in my preview video, I kind of gave Gjergjaj the benefit of the doubt. I said it was going to be over very quickly, but I gave Gjergjaj the benefit of the doubt. From the footage I'd seen, I think he showed in some previous fights. He's shown some interesting skills, and I think he could beat some other guys. I think, one, the event got to him, and two, as soon as he felt the power of David Haye, he gave up. It's as simple as that. He gave up. Now, the fight. Now, what I'm going to say, if you watch the replay of this, right at the beginning, there's a few filling out jabs from both guys, and then they come in close, and David Haye lands a massive bomb. It's a massive right hand bomb. And really, I think in an alternative world where this fight happens, that punch lands and the fight is over. The fight is over in 22 seconds or whatever it was. The fight is over. But somehow he took that shot. That's, for me, what I take from this entire fight was that he took that first punch. You watch it, go watch the tapes, right? That first punch, it's a massive overhand right, and he takes it really well. But I believe that the repercussions of that punch is what we saw the next 30 to 60 seconds. He felt that power, and he realised, shit, I'm completely outmatched. I haven't got a chance. And he was, from that moment onwards, he was on retreat mode. And for the rest of the fight until the stoppage, he only landed one punch himself. One punch of note in the rest of the 3 and a bit minutes that were left in the fight. Now, after obviously the big right, and I'm talking about that happened really early on, David Haye landed a two-punch combination, which the second punch was a straight down the middle through the guard, right on the nose, and Gjergjaj crumbled. He crumbled. And as David Haye said in a post-fight interview, many guys would not get up from that. And I actually agree with him on that. I do agree with him on that, because it's a very good punch. It's a combination that David Haye uses very, very regularly. He likes to punch through the middle. He likes to punch through defences. And it does work. He landed a peach of two-punch combination in a similar style against John Ruiz all these years ago. and it was in the first round as well. And Ruiz dropped like a sack of you know what, but he managed to get up as well. Right, so it was a reasonable punch, and the combinations continued, and Gjergjaj somehow managed to survive. He was in survival mode for the rest of that round. But after the bell, David Haye continued, and he punched him a few times, and Gjergjaj dropped to his knees. And I don't think he dropped to his knees off the back of the power of the punch or the damage of the punch. I think he dropped to his knees because he just realised, I haven't got a chance. Like, what is this? Like, what am I doing here? Like, this is it. Like, it was exasperation. He just realised, shit, this is next level for me. He didn't know what to do, but he obviously got into the second round. And the second round came relatively shortly. David Haye drops him with a jab, and a lot of people have gone on about this bloody jab that he took a dive and all that. So it doesn't look impressive, but you gotta think that this guy's already been down twice. He's already been seriously injured. He's completely out of his depth, and he's taken that and he's gone down. And I think it's because his mindset was gone. He got hit with a jab, and his legs were already wobbly, and he just dropped. He managed to get up relatively easy, so it just shows you that he wasn't really hurt from that jab. But I think his mindset was so altered that he went down. And then a few moments later, David Haye swarmed him, and he swarmed him with, in typical David Haye fashion, with lots of lefts and right and wild swinging, but none of the punches looked that devastating. None of the punches were that clean. None of them were that accurate. They weren't impressive punches, and again, this Gjergjaj kind of just crumbled to the floor. And then when he got up, I think the referee could have let the fight go on, but I think he just said, look, there's no point. What's the point? You're going to get paid the same either way. Let's just call this a day, because David Haye's probably going to spark you out clean at some point. Maybe not in this round, next round. It's going to happen, but I'm going to save you. I'm going to save you. And that's what he basically did. Then there was some post-match interviews that we saw directly after and later on, and there's a few interesting things that were discussed that I just want to pick up on. One of them was that the interviewer mentioned the criticism of the opponents that David Haye's had in both Haye Day 1 and Haye Day 2, which is completely justified. And there was kind of like, the interviewer kind of decided to kind of answer the question himself and basically say that some people think that the opponents you're fighting are lame ducks, effectively, and some people say you don't deserve to fight bigger fights. So he answered the question for David, and David Haye just kind of confirmed that opinion as a get out. Now, my personal opinion is that there are guys out there of mid-level, like genuine top 30. Like Gjergjaj, they're saying he's top 30. He weren't top 30. They're genuine like top 20, top 25 guys that he could have fought, that would have put up a decent fight, that would have given him 3-4 rounds, that have a bit of respect in the community as being tough guys. There's guys out there he could have fought. But David Haye basically said that all the big guys are busy. So he was basically saying all the big guys are busy. Effectively, he's talking about the champions, right? So they went in search of the guy with the longest record. Christ, come on, man. So that's such a poor excuse for this opponent. Really, really poor. And then when they were talking about the Shannan Briggs matchup that looks to be happening in September, again he said that all the top guys are busy. They've got fights lined up, or they're going to be fight mandatories or whatever. Effectively talking about champions, right? So he said, I can't think of a bigger fight apart from fighting one of these top guys. And that just sums it up. Because, yeah, there's probably not another fight out there that they can promote in such a way as they will do for this Briggs versus Haye matchup. but there's probably bigger and better and interesting fights that can be made. He also spoke about Anthony Joshua again. So I think that's the fight that he wants. He believes that by beating Shannan Briggs, that he's going to somehow earn a shot at Anthony Joshua. Now we all know that how boxing works. It doesn't matter what you deserve. It really doesn't matter. It's all about how the money works out. And if Hearn and Haye think that this is going to make serious money, pay-per-view, it will 100% happen. He completely disregarded Klitschko, and he just basically said he's over the hill, and the fact that Tyson Fury's beating him, he's kind of not relevant. But to be honest, I think if Klitschko was to beat Fury, I think that Haye should try to get a rematch to avenge that loss. I think that would be a much better route for him. He won't do it though, because the money's with Anthony Joshua. I don't think there's much money in the Klitschko fight, and I don't think the general public will I don't think they'll buy into it. The way that he behaved pre and post the Klitschko fight, I don't think the public will buy into it. So I think he knows that, and I think that's why he wants to go for this Anthony Joshua matchup. The other thing I just wanted to mention was that on the day broadcast, in the post-fight interview that he did in the ring, he was trying. I think he wanted a face-off with Shannan Briggs in the ring, and because it would have looked good. There might have been a bit of a ruck and whatever, but they obviously, the security and TV company, they obviously didn't want it, and they kept on showing Shannan Briggs, like, I don't know, at the end of the walkway, screaming and shouting and whatever. And what do you say to that? What do you say to that? Like, to be honest, I quite like promotion, and I think I said it in one of my videos that I think David Haye's one of the few boxers out there that understands that boxing needs promotion. It needs promotion. It needs characters, and it needs a bit more. It needs a bit more than just being a boxer that's got talent, and if you've got talent, you're going to get what you deserve, and you're going to win fights, and you'll become a champion. The sport as a whole needs characters, a bit of excitement, to kind of just bring it as a whole to the wider masses, right? And then just as I just said that, it just reminded me of something that David Haye said, that he was happy about bringing big time boxing to the masses, because it was free to air TV. This is not big time boxing. The Haye Briggs is not big time boxing. We want to see more fights. This Heyday 3, trust me, it needs a better undercard. Everything needs to be improved. They can have it on Dave. I would love to see it on Dave again, but we need to see so much more. We need to see so much more. So that's how I'm just going to round up that video. If you've got any comments about Heyday 2, I want to hear from you ASAP. I'm Teekosey.